Hey everyone, it's Liz from Shelby Senior Services. We are back this week with another healthy cooking video. This time we are going to make sweet potato barbecue chips. They're actually really easy to make. I have not made barbecue ones before, but I have made cinnamon sugar ones. So this time we're going to try a little bit different of a recipe, more of a snack than an entree. So I have the oven preheating to 325 degrees. For this you need about 3 sweet potatoes. I buy mine in a bag, so I picked out the longest skinny ones that you can find in there. You don't have to peel them or anything. I have already cut them all up. I used a little handheld mandolin, so that way they all are pretty even in size because my chopping skills aren't the best. So in this bowl I have about 3 of those sweet potatoes all cut up. So they're only, I'm not great with measurements either. Very thin, chip size, put it that way. So I have 3 of those in this bowl here. I'll go through the spices, which we're gonna combine next. We have cumin, paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, chili powder, smoked paprika, pepper, olive oil to drizzle onto the sweet potatoes, salt, and then a teaspoon of brown sugar in this little bowl here. So we're gonna start combining all the spices. You need a teaspoon of everything except for the smoked paprika and the pepper. So we'll go ahead and start combining those. Start with the brown sugar, which I've already measured out. And next we'll go on to the cumin. I like to use the little half teaspoon because my full teaspoon doesn't ever fit in the container, and when I try to pour it out, it goes everywhere. And there's the preheat. Move on to the paprika. Teaspoon of that. Over to the garlic powder. A teaspoon of onion powder. To the chili powder. A teaspoon of that as well. Then we're going to do a half teaspoon of the smoked paprika. A half a teaspoon of the pepper. And then we are going to do a full teaspoon of salt. All right, just going to use my teaspoon to mix that around because I am all for as few dishes as possible. It's my least favorite part of cooking is all the dishes. Make sure that brown sugar is not all stuck together. All right, and once we've gotten that all mixed up, we are going to drizzle our olive oil. Ooh, got it everywhere. All right, we'll clean that up in a little bit. We'll move on to the olive oil. We're gonna do about 3 to 4 teaspoons of this. I think it just really depends on the size of your sweet potatoes. If you have really long sweet potatoes, you might wanna do 4. Mine were pretty small, so I'm just gonna stick with 3. All right. Before we add the seasoning, we're gonna go ahead and mix up the sweet potatoes and olive oil so it's got some on every little chip. That way this seasoning sticks nice to everything. And I do have 2 pans over here on my stove lined with aluminum foil, or you can use parchment paper. So that way your chips aren't sticking. All right, I think those are pretty well coated. I'm gonna sprinkle in about half of this mixture, stir it around, and then go in with the other half. All right, I have about half of that mixture all in there. We're gonna go ahead and add the other half, because if you're like me, the barbecue chips with all the flavoring on them is your favorite. So we want no shortage of seasoning. Ooh. It does smell like barbecue chips. I've never tried to make regular barbecue chips at home, but I'm thinking this would work on regular potatoes too. All right. Those are actually looking pretty good. All right, we're gonna grab one of our sheet pans over here that we have already lined. And the key here is to make sure they're not overlapping too much, so that way they all get evenly cooked. You want them crispy. So we're gonna put about half on this sheet and half on the other. That looks pretty good. And spread them all out. Don't want them laying on top of each other. And if it's looking like there's a lot on there, you may have to do them in batches. I'm hoping they'll fit on 2 pans. I think they will just fine. All right, that looks pretty good to me. We're gonna switch it out and go to the other pan. We're gonna dump the rest of the potatoes on there. Ooh, a lot of seasoning at the bottom here. Don't think I want to dump all that on one chip. We have some ones with sparse seasoning. I may go back and sprinkle it on them. Like I said, the oven is preheated to 325 degrees. So once we're done spreading them on here, all nice and even, we are going to put them in the oven for 20 to 30 minutes. You're gonna flip them about halfway through, so I'd say 10 to 12 minutes in. Go ahead and flip them. Now when they are in the oven, say you did 20 or 30 minutes, whichever works best. They will still be a little soft, but you let them sit for 5 to 10 minutes and it makes them really pretty crunchy. So we're gonna go ahead and put these 2 trays in the oven. I'm gonna shoot for about 25 minutes. I'd rather mine a little crispier than not. So we will go ahead and put them in the oven and come back in just a little bit. So the sweet potatoes have been in for about 12 minutes already. So we're gonna go ahead and flip them around. Once you flip them, you still wanna make sure they're not touching. Make sure they're getting crispy everywhere. So spread them back out a little. Until the edges have curled up a little bit, so they're well on their way. They smell good. They're starting to look like barbecue chips. Let's switch the other one around. There we go, and even these ones out. are feeling pretty cooked, just not crispy where we want them. So they are nice and soft, so I'm sure you could eat them if you wanted, maybe like a side dish, but I don't know how well half-cooked sweet potato fries would be. All right, we're gonna put those back in the oven for about another, we'll say 10 minutes, and see how they're doing. All right, I took all of the chips out of the oven. I put them all onto one tray to let them cool for about 10 or so minutes. Let's see how crispy they are. Pretty crunchy. All right, and that is it for the sweet potato honey barbecue chips. Thanks.